Welcome to the Lead with Your Soul podcast. I'm Michelle Wright, your host and fellow traveler on this journey of self-discovery. This podcast is designed for women navigating life transitions and yearning to embrace their true selves. I'll be sharing my personal journey from navigating the complexities of divorce and blending families to reshaping my career to something that resonates with my soul. With 3 decades as a teacher and mentor, I'm here to share insights, heartfelt stories, and practical strategies. Together, we'll explore how to cultivate self-love and create the vibrant, fulfilling life you deserve. Join me each week as we dive deep into the art of living authentically. Welcome to the Lead with Your Soul podcast. I'm Michelle Wright, your host. And today, we're going to be learning about intuition. I'm going to be talking about those little nudges that we can get from the universe, from our inner selves, that help guide our way forward. This is the basis for my podcast, Lead with Your Soul. It was really the deepest part of my transformational journey, learning how to listen to my own inner voice, my own inner compass, and my own soul, and let that guide me forward. So for you today, I'm going to break it open in 4 different ways. I'm going to first of all just define a few terms. And then secondly, I'm going to talk about how you can develop your own intuition, just guide you some different ways. And then thirdly, I'm going to talk about some of the differences of listening to yourself and your own inner compass, and then kind of moving outwards, connecting to the universe, angels, perhaps even mediumship. What does that feel like? I'll describe my own experiences. And lastly, I'm going to talk about how else I've really harnessed the power of my inner compass, my inner knowing, to help guide me forward and making some changes, and how this could impact your own life and how you might want to explore further for yourself. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is the clairs. We have clair, and that is the French word for clear. So clairvoyant is clairseeing. And there's 4 main different types of clairs: clairvoyant, clairseeing, clairsentient, clairfeeling, clairaudient, clairhearing, and claircognizant, clear knowing. And before I get into those 4 specific ones, there's 2 overriding things that I think are so important and that they were important for me to realize. First of all, everybody hears their intuition, their clairs, uniquely, just like our fingerprints. It is different for every single person. So though I'm going to share my experiences, how it works for me, you're going to experience it differently. You listen to 10 different people and they're going to share 10 different experiences. And I think this is powerful and good for us. There's no one right way to move forward. We all have the ability. We were all born with the ability to connect to our own intuition and to connect to the messages that are coming to us from the universe, from our spirit team, and just hear those whispers. And that's the second thing, is that for me, I think when I first started this journey, I heard people say, oh, I see this, or I hear this. In my thinking mind, I thought, oh, they hear a very clear voice, just like you do on the television or the radio. Michelle, this is the answer. And it's not that way at all. It is really something that you have to tune into, like a radio, you tune into. It is something you need to develop. It is something you need to practice. It's like a muscle. And it's more like a whisper. So when you look at clear seeing, clairvoyance, when I have pictures in my mind that come from meditation or sitting quietly, it's really more shadows that come in. The pictures for me are not clear like a photograph or like a movie playing. It is more just shadows or impressions of what I'm seeing.
So then for me, it ties right into claircognizance. I get the impression that this is a little dog. And then I get that knowing that this is a dog. Those usually come hand in hand for me. Another sense is clairsentient. And that means clearly feeling what is happening for you. So for me, I can get different senses. That's kind of that feeling in your gut or when your chest is tight. So I'm listening for the messages. I'll ask a question. Should I move forward with this? Is this a good choice for me? Is this in my highest good? And then I'm going to lean back and listen to my body. What is my heart saying? What is my gut saying? What are my emotions saying? What am I feeling? Are there any pictures that are coming through? Are there any senses of knowing that are coming through when I ask those questions? And that's that listening and that practicing. And the last clair is clairaudience, and that's that sense of hearing. Now, some people do have clairaudience. I have not experienced clairaudience, and that is with a clear hearing someone speaking. And it would be, I'm assuming, similar to clairvoyance. So it's not like a person speaking in your ear, but there is a sound coming, you're understanding and hearing that name, that word, that message coming to you. As you explore your own intuition, you might want to explore, what do you find comes most easily to you, most naturally to you? For me, clairsentient and claircognizant were the most easiest for me to lean into. I found clairsentient, even that sense of walking into a room, that's intuition. You can feel if there's been a fight. You can feel if there's joy and happiness or deep sadness without even looking around. You can have that sense, that feeling. And that for me is that clairsentience. Claircognizant, I've often got direct hits before. I just know something is true, or I have an idea that comes in. And this actually, I used a great deal in my career. And I found that someone was talking and they were saying, oh, maybe we should move forward in this way. And I just knew, yep, that is the best way to move forward. And all of a sudden, I could see kind of a path open up for me. So I would use that to help me guide my way forward. Now, in work, I also used data, I also used information from other people, but I also relied quite a bit on my own intuition. Now, how can you develop this? Some of the ways when I first started was actually by leaning into meditation and leaning into, for me, the best way was guided meditation. I found that my mind was always going, and I needed to find a way to quiet my mind so that I could feel my body. I could listen to different whispers that were happening. So you can imagine, if your connection to your intuition, your soul whispers, your inner compass is quiet, and the world around you is noisy. Maybe you've got anxious thinking, anxious thoughts. Maybe you're always planning and always doing and swirling. Then you have to find a way to ground yourself. You have to find a way to be able to hear the whispers. And I found the best way, as I said, was through guided meditations. You can just purchase apps. I used Kyle Gray. I loved his. They were guided meditations, and he used a lot with angels. And I just found that really easy to lean into. And I found it healing and powerful. Another was Colette Baron Reed. And they were just apps on a phone that you could purchase. And then you built up a sanctuary in your mind where you went through time, through practice. You just did the same things. You can find free ones on YouTube. And there's just so many ways. So, meditation is one of the ways that I listen. Just even lots of times getting into nature, just walking or sitting in nature, I find that I become very grounded and everything quiets around me, and I can just listen to the earth. So If you were going to start grounding, and one of the first things that I do, no matter where I am, is this idea of sitting in a chair, your feet are flat on the ground, not crossed. And you imagine that out of the bottoms of your feet, you have roots, and these roots are going into the middle of the earth. And I imagine them actually going right down into the center of the earth, into that ball, that magma, and they go around and they come right back up to me. And they come right up the bottom of my feet, energizing me, healing me, balancing me, cleansing me. And I imagine them going all the way through all of my chakras, right out the crown chakra, the top of my head, and going right into the stars, and going from the stars and coming right back down. So I have this beautiful loop of energy. I'm of the earth and I'm of the stars. Once I have that loop of light going back and forth, I imagine in my heart center that I have a flame, a flickering light. Every time I take a deep breath in, I imagine this light expanding, and then I expand it more with each breath. And it just continues to grow until I have a bubble outside of me. And I'll play with this bubble. I'll have it 2 feet from me, inches from me, 1 mile from me, 10 miles from me, practicing. And that's actually your aura, moving it back and forth, in and out. Another thing you can practice, does it make a difference if you imagine the color of that bubble is different? If it's white or pink or yellow or green. And every time I do this, I set the intention that I'm grounding and that I'm connecting to Mother Earth and to the stars in the universe. And I'm grounding myself with my ancestors, my loved ones, and my spirit team for my highest good. And I set that intention of healing and goodness. And it's this practice of doing this every day or 3 times a week. For me, I needed to do it in the morning. I found that's when I was most able to make sure, because it was before work. So it was part of my everyday routine. I got up, had some coffee, and then I went and did my meditation. Another thing that I did is after the meditation, I would journal. Now, this was a huge part of my claircognizant, that clear knowing, is being able to speak it and knowing it through my written word was very powerful for me. So after I would come out of my meditation, I would just let my words flow. They call that inspired writing, setting your timer, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 minutes, and just writing. I would just write. And it's there if I saw anything or images came in or impressions came in or thoughts of people came in, I would just write them down and let it flow out of me. I started to see what were some of the patterns, what were some of the messages coming. I also started to see what was I like on any given day, any given week. Did it matter? Was there a difference? If there was a full moon, was there a difference? If it was a new moon, was it a difference if there was a weekend or things were happening with me? What did that look like and feel like? Ironically, one of the things that I find and have found is that in transition, in transformation, when things are going absolutely haywire, it seems like our routines, good eating, healthy, going for walks, all of your healthy practices seems to go by the wayside for myself. And the same would go for sitting quietly and listening and grounding myself and meditating. And yet, those practices are the pathways forward. Now, today, if I'm in my car, if I'm in a grocery store line, if I'm just walking my dog, I can still go through that whole process. I'm still grounding myself. I'm still making a connection to the stars above. And I'm just really listening and grounding and starting to listen and feel with my heart and my soul. What do I need to know that day? What's going on? Doing a check in. And so the more you practice, the easier it is, no matter where you are. Third thing that I wanted to talk about is, does it feel different listening to your inner world, your inner voice, or connecting to angels, perhaps mediumships, loved ones that have passed, or the universe, God? I do feel that there is a difference. I have felt a difference when it's me. I felt a difference when I'm connecting to the divine. Now, for some people, there's a lot of trauma around connecting to the church or churches, and that might be your experience. And that's why I use different terms, like it could be the divine, it could be the universe, it could be source. It's whatever you feel comfortable. I look at just going out, just the whole universe, and just listening to what are some of the messages that can be downloaded for myself, that I can use in my own life to help guide me forward. Or sometimes I'm finding it's even giving back into the collective when things aren't going as well. How can I, on my days when I am filled with gratitude and love and joy, how can I flow that back into the universe for all of those who may need it? So I do a bit of both depending on what's happening that day. I do have my spirit team. Over the last 7 years specifically, I've spent a lot of time connecting with angels. I see them as angels, and I see their colors, and they have different roles for in my life and how they're working for me. I found through different points of transformation, I've had different angels come in and they step forward and take a more prominent role in my development when I'm in meditation, when I am connecting to my inner world and my own soul. They seem to be standing there with me and guiding me through. I have been training with mediumship with Danielle Sarank, the Squamish medium. She is amazing. I'll put a link. She has a school, the Spirit School, and she has a collective. That might be something you're interested in if you're interested in developing more. She has a free community. She also has one that you can take courses and become more developed in. She talks about the difference of connecting through mediumship, so our loved one, our ancestors, and more coming from the back. And I too do feel that as well. So when I'm connecting with my loved ones in spirit, I feel them coming from the back of me, that energy. Angels seem to be right here with me. And the divine, the universe, I guess it's because for me it's so big, I see it as going up and around. It's just kind of surrounding me. So that might be something that's interesting for you as you set the intention to connect with your angels, set the intention to connect with loved ones in spirit, or set the connection to connect with source of the divine. Do you feel a difference? Does it resonate differently for you? And what does that feel like in your body? One of the things for certain is that it is never negative. I find it really interesting because when you go to source, to angels, to loved one in spirit, it is a feeling of calm. It is a feeling of love. It is a feeling of joy. So if you're ever thinking that you might be connecting and it's a very dark, negative, or unhappy feeling, I would not say that you're connecting with your spirit team or your loved ones. In my experience, the divine angels and those in spirit are just full of love, patience, kindness, and joy. And they're just lifting you up and supporting you. So that is a different way that you can connect because you will feel different in your inner self, your inner source, and connecting with the sources around you. One of the fourth ways that I have been using my intuition is you can connect to Akashic records. Akashic records are these records throughout all time where you can find out about your soul in different lifetimes, of different moments of time. I've used my meditation and intuition for deep healing work. You once again might go into looking at time, that quantum physics, meaning that time is linear and yet it's not, meaning in this moment, you can be in the past, you can also be in the future. And in that, you can do inner child work, you can heal family issues, family traumas that come from the past, and you can move forward as well. Looking, what is the future self looking at creating for you? What is the future you going to do? And you can go in the future and have those conversations. And that's especially when I tie into journal work and just see, okay, where am I now? What's going on? Where do I want to be? And get those messages. I use my intuition when I do the cards. So the oracle cards and the tarot card. I know the tarot cards. I know the meanings of the suits and all of the cards, but the meaning for that reading at that time in that moment is using the knowledge of those cards and then my own intuition of what it means at that moment and that time. So the messages that are downloading at that time, that's completely coming to me through my intuition and through my spirit team, because I set that intention with my spirit team that it will come in. Another way that you might want to start to use your intuition and your inner compass is whenever you're finding difficulty and resistance. So I know when I am angry or feeling really angry, this is an indicator that I'm not in alignment, that I am not going in the direction that I need. I need to stop and I need to connect inside and I need to figure out what's going on. Sometimes it's not the people or the situation around me that needs to change. It's actually some healing and healing work that needs to happen inside my own heart, my own soul. Meditation, intuition helps guide you because when things aren't going well, it offers you the opportunity to be curious and ask why. Maybe it is the people around you. Maybe it is something that's happening. One of the stories that I have of being surprised when you get a clear message happened when I was about 18. I was driving home from a friend's house at that time in Alberta, Canada. We did not have to wear seatbelts. It was not the law. I never wore a seatbelt. And I was driving home from his house and I had a clear message and it felt like yelling, "Put on your seatbelt." I stopped my car in the middle of the gravel road because I was in the country and I put on my seatbelt. As I drove down the rest of the road, I had lightning on the left side and a lightning storm on the right side. And I had just learned how to drive, so I overcorrected and I flipped my car. Because I had my seatbelt on, I was safe. I only got a few cuts in my knees. And I know that had I not stopped and put on my seatbelt, it would have been dire. This message came from outside of me. In other situations, I have had it where I didn't listen and something did happen. I knew that I had to finish this project, or I knew, this test was coming, or that I was going to be asked this question. I actually would have this sense of knowing that it was coming up. And then some of the time I'm like, oh, that's crazy. Like, that's not going to happen. And I started to learn with myself that over time, yep, whenever I got that feeling, whenever I got that, I had that knowing, it was going to happen. So I would make sure that I looked that up and I knew it, because whether it was in a test or an interview or some work piece, I would need that information. So I really started to tie into that as well. And whenever I didn't listen to it, I would always go, Michelle, you knew it was coming. So that's where, I guess, for yourself, listening to your own intuition, your own inner compass, is one of the basic things to develop as you begin moving yourself forward. In the next episode, I'm going to talk about how my intuition and trusting my intuition was absolutely essential in making a huge life shift. As we finish our time together, I'm excited for you to explore your intuition and figure out how it can help you come into alignment for your highest good and guide you on your own soul path. I hope you find ways to learn to listen to those whispers of your soul, find joy, happiness, and the path forward. Until next time, keep leading with your soul.
That wraps up another episode of the Lead with Your Soul podcast. I'm so grateful you chose to spend this time with me. As you navigate your own life transitions, remember to be gentle with yourself and embrace the journey. If you found value in today's episode, please subscribe and share it with others who might benefit. Join me next week for more insights and inspiration. Until next time, keep leading with your soul.